Well, the protests continue to break out across the country. We saw, I guess, a week ago now, the hundreds of thousands of people in different cities. There's video in Boston of just people as far as you could see protesting, and hands-off protests, as they were called. Hands off our rights, hands off our Medicaid, hands off our Social Security, etc. against the Trump administration. Real energy and passion, as I'm dropping my pen, against them, which is hopeful to see. The video that you're seeing on screen here is from the Naval Observatory, or the residence of the Vice President, JD Vance, or JP Mandel, as Trump once lovingly referred to him. And then I'll read some reporting about this and get to some other components. You have protesters march on the National Mall for wrongly deported Maryland man, and it talks about how before that, protesters lined up outside Vance's residence at the Naval Observatory at noon on Saturday to protest the Trump administration and confront Vance, confront at least his ideas, because one little eeky weeky whoopsie was Vance happened to be out of town. I don't know if that makes it worse, but I kind of wish he would have had to drive by them and see. But I mean, still confronting his ideas and sending a message. Now, one of the things I found funny was this is from footage from the White House. You can see here, and there are protests there as well, hands off, and calling for the return of the wrongfully deported individual. And conspiracy theorist right-winger Laura Loomer said, look, identical printed signs were neatly arranged outside the White House today for an anti-Trump protesters to hold. We recorded this video just before the 5501 and the Party of Socialism and Liberation's anti-Trump rally began. Someone is placing signs for protesters to hold. Very suspicious. It honestly is suspicious, except unless you compare it to every other protest ever in the history of protests. Other than that, it's suspicious. Okay? Other than it being just like every protest I've ever seen, which is that someone makes signs to hand out to the protesters. Like, for example, at every Trump rally, when you see everyone with the same Trump signs, or at the RNC when they were holding mass deportations now signs, do you think everyone at home just made the same exact graphic and then brought their own No, you protest, and then someone says, hey, do you want to hold the sign? You go, yeah, I do. Why is everything conspiratorial? They want to believe it's all AstroTurf. They want to believe it's all funded. And yeah, some group that organized this made signs so there would be coherent, and then they hand them out. Like Trump rallies too. So bizarre. Now, speaking of JD Vance, take a look at this video from during the Biden administration, because now it's quite relevant.
Doing to conservatives. This is really not about left versus right. This is about whether we have functional constitutional government in this country. If the IRS can go after you because of what you think or what you believe or what you do, we'd no longer live in a free country. That's what this is all about. And if you think they're not going to eventually use it against your politics, whatever they might be, it's ridiculous. They certainly will.
Very interesting, JD. Let's read the quote. If the IRS can go after you because of your beliefs, we no longer live in a free country. And the other headline that this account links to is this: IRS making plans to rescind Harvard's tax exempt status, because the Trump administration wants to dictate internal Harvard policies and is in a feud with them. Apparently that's partially an accident, which is just, why can't they get anything right? It's so weird. The New York Times reports Trump officials blame mistake for setting off confrontation with Harvard. So they're mistakenly deporting people. They're mistakenly sending out threatening letters to universities. And then upon recognition that it was a mistake, they just charge forward and go, well, we're in it now. An official on the administration's anti-Semitism task force told the university that a letter of demands had been sent without authorization. Now, we all want to combat anti-Semitism. This, for the Trump administration, is about control and power over the liberal universities they've fearmongered about for so long. And also, by the way, even if you had someone's views that were abhorrent, the grabbing of people and throwing them into unmarked vans for their deportation when they have a student visa is pretty dystopian. Harvard University received an emailed letter from the Trump administration last Friday that included a series of demands about hiring, admissions, and curriculum so onerous that school officials decided that they had no choice but to take on the White House. Unlike the other universities who have just bent the knee, like law firms who are just giving Trump hundreds of millions of pro bono work so that he'll stop targeting them. It's just sad. The university announced its intentions on Monday, setting off a tectonic battle between one of the country's most prestigious universities and a U.S. president. Then almost immediately came a frantic call from a Trump official. The April 11th letter from the White House Task Force on Anti-Semitism, this official told Harvard, should not have been sent out and was unauthorized to people familiar with the matter said. The letter was sent by the acting general counsel of the Department of Health and Human Services, according to 3 other people who were briefed on the matter. Mr. Keaveney? Really? Sean Keaveney? What a name. Is a member of the Anti-Semitism Task Force. It's unclear what prompted the letter to be sent last Friday. Its content was authentic, the 3 people said, but there were differing accounts inside the administration of how it had been mishandled. Some people at the White House believed it had been sent prematurely, who requested anonymity. But others in the administration thought it had been meant to be circulated among the task force members rather than sent to Harvard, but its timing was consequential. The letter arrived when Harvard officials believed they still could avert a confrontation, and it set off the full-scale confrontation by Harvard, who are saying, we're not going to be forced into abiding by your whims, Donald. And, you know, it's good to see that somebody's fighting back, but now because of a mistake or just Trump's ego, they're now going full scale attack mode and are threatening to take away their tax exempt status, have cut off grants that go to Harvard, and are trying to make Harvard suffer as much as possible. Now, this is why we have a democracy, because the idea is, if it continues to function, the idea is Harvard can withstand the next few years because they have a lot of money. And then Americans go, hey, that among like a bunch of other things, that's not right. Let's vote someone else in there. But this is happening, as Trump is saying. That's why I have to be president for a very, very long time. So we will see, but it's going to be our job to make sure our democracy survives. Share your thoughts in the comments. This is a second channel video, so you can check out our first and main, the big boy channel in the link in the description. And I'll talk to you in the next video.